And the lovely thing for your viewers is British Gas has an out-of-hours service where the people who answer the calls are actually in a foreign country.
Yes.
And the beauty of somebody who doesn't really speak your lingo is that they don't really know the rules. So you can always, if you ring up at the time when it's the UK line, they won't tell you when the summons are. But if you ring up out in the weekends, you'll always get through to India and South Africa, and they'll happily tell you, oh, it's on Wednesday. And you say, thank you very much. Put the phone down, get your paperwork ready, file it, and turn up as well. And most of the time, the guy who kept doing it for his, I kept saying to him, well, you need to be issuing a bill. If you keep turning up, that's just crazy. Because you can't compel anybody to perform on a contract that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Or if it does exist, you can't just make up your own little willy-nilly stuff.
So would you
that's harassment.
So would you put your intent to bill them in your paperwork that you're putting in at first?
No, at first I'd be quite nice, if you look up that in the dictionary, a fool, and I'd make it very simple. And I would point out the errors of their ways. Like you say, as in your example with your colleague, very quickly they'll bow out. The example of the guy is he's paying, I think it's £10 a month. So he's forcing them to take the £10. So them turning up to court under this guise of this act. Okay, we won't even talk about civil or anything in a magistrate's. Let's not even go down there for now. But what he's saying is, well, they keep saying that I'm not paying, and that's all well and good granting this, but you're going to cause harm to me because I've got the receipts where I did pay. So what they're handing in is a fraud to the court, and I don't want them, Judge, to get you into trouble to use this court as an engine of fraud, because that would be terrible, and I would never like that to happen to you because you seem like a nice guy, a fool. So it helps that third party guy to actually be third party and say, just I'll rubber stamp the rest, just not that guy. And it will always keep getting knocked out. But the interesting thing is, for that guy, he kept going back, and I said, well, come on, you can keep going until the cows come home with this. It's been going on for 6 months. When are you going to file a bill? Or when are you going to say to them, do it again, my friend? Now, once was a mistake, 2 was just taking the mickey, 3 is just fraud. Now, okay, fraud is a hard one to prove, because you have to be in that guy's brain to understand that he have proof that that was his intention. So that's why bankers haven't been taken to court, because it's a real hard one. And it's almost a red herring. The best one to do, which is recognised in both courts, civil and common law, is harassment.
Yes.
Here's my line, this is what I'm saying, if you keep applying for that, this is harassment. And you might call it, I don't know, is it an act? Or whatever you call it, but I just call it harassment. And when I turn up to the court, I'm going to charge £100 for that. Reasonable, I'm not going to be a rip-off, but it'll make it easier for the judge to say, yeah, you are being harassed. This is no reason to do this. And it will sail through.
Would you get the judge to issue an order for them to pay that bill?
Yes, because you have to direct a judge, because you have to expect the judge almost like a vessel, a boat. Now you have to point it in the direction you want, or you require, would be better, and on what is it specifically you require. So you can't just say, well, I require a discharge, or I require to win, or I require. That's nice, but you also have to put in to say, yeah, but I also require this as well, because there's a bill attached, and I've had expenses, so there you go, I need that as well. So I require this order.
That's very interesting what you said about you have to direct the judge, because again, that person I've been speaking to said exactly the same thing. It's all right going into court and doing this, but if you don't follow up directing the judge what you want him to do, he just won't do anything.
In fact, you know that the early days when me and you went, I don't know if it was that one or the one before or after. At one point, I think when I first turned up, I said, oh, but hang on, don't we go by the freedoms, the human rights and the freedoms nonsense, and you shouldn't be doing this because of that. And they went very, very quiet. Right? And my understanding at that time, or my inexperience, would have been to invoke it and push it, and I didn't. So that's my own failure, and I look back at that and think, right, I made that mistake, I'm not doing that again. But really, I always warn everybody else, don't just tell them that they're about to infringe this or trespass on that. Then push it through and tell them, give them the message and say, right, now that's it, great, I'm going to file this against you. But make it very simple. Don't go for interpretation and a conversation, because I don't want a conversation with that guy on the top there, because he does his own thing. All I'm here to require is them to pay my bill. That's it, nothing else. Just like you do your council tax, isn't it? You don't really have a conversation. You just say, "Rubber stamp that, please, Judge. I want the money." Great. I'll put that hat back on and carry on doing that, please. It's a great way for them to actually understand, and at the same time for you to enforce your will or your way through.
Very good. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, like I say, if anybody's got anything, I apologise because too many people contact sometimes, but if I can, I will attempt as best as I can. If you contact through the dispatchuk.com website, dispatch.uk.com, there is a contact request there. I try to now not to get involved with just one guy's problem, so I try to take a step back and try and give a greater answer that covers a few other scenarios, but also help others as well. Otherwise, I can honestly tell you, last year I was just embroiled in loads of little individual things. So, hi Mike, UK column. So I try to help a greater number of people, because otherwise one man with the greatest of intentions cannot help everybody. But if he uses his knowledge to empower a subject matter and put that subject matter to an end, then he can go to the next subject, and he can go to the next subject. So that's my intention for 2015, is one, to do more to do with common law courts, and I know, and history will prove me right or wrong, I don't know, I'm sure my stalkers out there will probably have an opinion, but in time that I can enforce a judgment. And I think Roger Hayes and a few other guys have had this conversation. The proof in the pudding, first is a great leap to actually have a common law court, and I've done it in an administrative court, so I've crossed that off. Brilliant, I can put that on my gravestone. And now is to say that to do a common law court in a administrative building with my own, well, not my own judge, a judge of man, being judged by my fellow man.
Okay.
And the final point was the other thing to cross off was, now we've got the own common law courts, and now as I say, is the final thing to be on the gravestone is to say, yep, great, you know what, now we've been able to collect on it, and then I'd say it's justice. And I'm not a fair, and this is not very popular, and I'm sure my stalkers will love this, I don't like somebody who files a claim for $1 million. I'm not a fan of that. I think it has to be justified. I like man on man, and if a man who acts as, I don't know, an enforcement officer of some description did me wrong, then I would go in proportion. I would not be passing a bill over for $1 million. That is not in proportion. And I like even the Bible quote, an eye for an eye. What's wrong with that? That's pretty simple. Great, you wanted me to pay £50, now you pay me £50. How's that? Because now your case has been thrown out.
Can I just confirm?
Yeah.
So when you're in court, are you actually in Queen's Bench?
I mean, this is a touchy subject that's been going on for ages, and the abolition of Queen's Bench in 1887, with all that, and the emergence of I think it was the Exchequer Division Court, and hence why we have Queen's Bench Division, which is in administrative courts. It's no longer a common law court. And as usual in this society, they try and pick a word that almost makes it look like it's the common law court, but it's not, because it's got this other word on the end, division. So you've got an apple, you've got an orange, but you can't intermix the names. That would make no sense, because they're not the same. You wouldn't put citrus there and try and do it, doesn't make sense. So really, you can go to Queen's Bench Division and actually invoke Queen's Bench, but like a lot of guys, and I take the feedback on board, most people are not experienced enough to actually invoke that. So really, that's why I was saying was, well, I asked the master, and who said, we don't claim Queen's Bench. And I said, that's brilliant, excellent. You keep Queen's Bench Division, we'll have Queen's Bench, and we'll file there. Because now I understand why you're always pissed off, because I'm in the wrong court. Oh, stupid me. Now I'll be going to Queen's Bench. The reason why I don't have a preference, I don't mind going to either. However, average Joe may not find that a struggle, so they may need just to go to an ordinary court where a judge is ordinary guy, and he doesn't play these stupid games with words. He'll say, did you mean this? Yes, I did. brilliant. Oh, because I knew that's what you meant. Oh, and great, yes, there you go. And that's the judgment at the end. Is that fair? Brilliant, excellent. And that's the way it should be, because I don't want a society where my children grow up and they have to learn the same rubbish and the pain that I had to go through. I don't want that anymore. I've had enough of it. I want the system to work. I don't want anything. God provides all. So what I require is the system to work, and if I have to help people to make that transition, then yeah, that's my lot in life. I'll get it set up and people will carry on from there.
Do you have to pay?
Now that's a contentious issue, because I try to do in such a way, because there is an old document that says that in filing in Queen's Bench should be free, and I think at some level of that it should be true. But certainly for smaller issues, because if a whole load of people came in with similar issues, you'd just do it all on the same day and knock them all out, and brilliant, that's job done. However, in this transitional phase, you can't really ask somebody to do a court in, like we're in the Midlands, you can't get us to all go to Devon, and if we did a grand jury there of 8 people at least, for us to stay there overnight in a hotel, that isn't going to work. And the system where the Legalese Society has forced us into that position is why nothing ever functions. It never gets done because it works on goodwill, and at the best of the world it only gets you so far, and it's not a business, it's not functional. Now it shouldn't be a business in order to create profit, that's going one step too far, but it should function. Now if somebody wanted to file £1 million claim and it was justified, and he said actually I don't have a problem, and in the legal courts over 330,000 is around about a fee of £1,900. It's a bit of a rip-off, but hey, I don't find that too much of an issue if you're actually going to get justice. So yes, for these stupid claims, and if they are legitimate claims, then in theory, yes. But again, I don't actually make that decision, and if you want to find out what the position on that is, then you should be actually emailing the guys. If you go on the website, there is a master support unit, believe it or not, but obviously not a divisional one, where you can actually ask that question. But like I say, I hope people will take this on board, and I
Debt Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.